to EZGlutenFree. Today I'm making these sweet Apple Blueberry Crumb Bars. Now as far as I'm concerned, crumb bars are the treat for people that love pie but like the crust just a little bit more. And the apple blueberry combination I have here is like winter meeting spring. Okay, to start out here, preheat the oven to 375 degrees and line a 9 by 13 inch pan with parchment paper sprayed with nonstick spray. Now to make the filling, you'll need 1 cup of blueberries that you've rinsed and drained, 1 apple that you've peeled and diced into about the same size as the berries. I used a Braeburn apple, but you could use a Granny Smith or a Honeycrisp or whatever other kind of apple you like. And the fresh fruit in the bars will be held together with an apple spiced custard that bakes almost to the consistency of pumpkin pie. Now for that we'll need to whisk together 1½ cups of apple butter, 2 eggs, 1/4 cup of heavy cream, 1/3 cup of brown sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Once it's smooth, stir in the fresh fruit and set the bowl aside while you make the crust. I'm starting out here by adding 2½ cups of gluten-free Bisquick to a large bowl. If you're not following a gluten-free diet, stir together the list of ingredients to the left here. Now add 2/3 cup of granulated sugar, and once they're combined, add 1 cup of cold diced butter, that's 2 sticks, and using a pastry blender or 2 knives, or even working it with your fingers, cut the butter into the dry mixture until the texture looks like coarse crumbs. My favorite method is using my hands and just pinching the cold butter chunks with kind of like a sliding motion, and as the chunks of butter get smaller and smaller, you'll end up with a coarse crumb texture. Now beat together 2 eggs, 1 tablespoon of water, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And once you've got it pretty well mixed, stir it into the crumb mixture. I like to use a rubber spatula to stir it together until the dough pretty much looks like a crumbly cookie dough. Now remove 1 loosely packed cup of the dough and set it aside. Dump the remaining dough into the bottom of the prepared pan. Then using the back of a spoon or a spatula or the palms of your hands, press it into an even layer. Once you have pretty good coverage, pour over the apple blueberry mixture. And try to make sure it's pretty well distributed. Now scatter over small pieces of the reserve dough, and once you have pretty even distribution, bake it for 50 to 55 minutes or until the top has a golden color. Once the bars come out of the oven, let them rest for 5 minutes, then use a flat metal spatula to go around all the edges of the pan to ensure there'll be no sticking later when we remove them. Now we'll need to cool the bars to room temperature before adding the glaze, or else it'll melt into the bars. Now to make the glaze, stir together 1 cup of confectioner sugar with enough milk or heavy cream to get a consistency that drizzles well. Start out with 2 tablespoons of the liquid, then add 1 tablespoon at a time until you have a consistency that looks right. Now you can either drizzle the glaze directly onto the bars, or use a pastry bag or a Ziploc bag like I have here. Once the bars are cooled, you can snip off a tiny corner of the bag, then start out at one corner of your bars and drizzle back and forth till you get all the way to the other side. And then you can go the other way if you want to make a cross-hatched pattern. Now cover and refrigerate for about 6 hours or until they're very well chilled. That'll make it easy to remove them from the pan and slice them into whatever sizes you want. And if you cut the 9 by 13 inch rectangle into 30 pieces or 5 by 6, you'll find they fit really nicely into standard sized cupcake liners for easier serving. And once you do serve these, you'll find they're everything a crumb bar should be and more. But here's the final word from my daughter.
Don't you think these will look a lot better with One Direction logos on them? Anyways, see you again soon! Doesn't my mom sound ridiculous when she says that? Later.
See you again soon!